What's going on, everybody?
What up?
Welcome to another episode of what, Alec?
Multiverse Experience. Hey, what? Is that a brand new name, Steven? Is that what people might call a rebrand?
A rebrand? Why, certainly, Alec. But why in the world would Podcast Elrond be rebranding to Multiverse Experience? What is Multiverse X?
If you are tuning in for the very first time to what used to be called Podcast Elrond, now known as Multiverse Experience, we have rebranded due to shifts in what was once known as the Elrond ecosystem. Yeah. So Elrond Network has rebranded to Multiverse X, and my co-host Steven actually went to X Day where the rebranding was unveiled. So in order to fit more into the changes of the Elrond Network ecosystem, Steven and I have rebranded to Multiverse Experience, and we're happy to be here.
Very happy to be here. Thanks for that recap, Alec. Yeah, last November, Elrond Network completed a rebrand to Multiverse to the power of X, and it's kind of shortened by Multiverse X. And dude, like, that's really been the theme ever since November. We've seen pretty much every other week, the team has been releasing new products and updates to their existing products, which we're of course going to get much more into during this episode.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy to think that we've done 21 episodes and now we're sitting here at episode 22, a completely new name, a completely different network. Well, the same network, but a new brand behind it, and a lot of new things in general, because we started when one of the most exciting new things first began, as everyone knows, the Maiar Dex. Lots of things to change, but it's great to migrate it with it.
Absolutely, man. Elrond Network rebranded to Multiverse X. Multiverse X now has this consistent color scheme. As you mentioned, the Maiar Exchange is what started Podcast Elrond. Maiar Dex launched. It was super exciting. The bull market was in full swing. And dude, over the past roughly like 450 to 500 days, like, price has not been going up, we'll say that. But all other fundamentals have been going up, I would say. Like Maiar Dex, of course, with the rebrand is now X Exchange. But yeah, Maiar Dex was awesome, brought a lot of people around, and now we're here over a year later, and still pushing through and looking forward to even more products that the Multiverse X team is going to be delivering this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, as always, thank you everyone for tuning in to today's podcast. We're excited to share the upcoming topics with you. We're going to definitely be covering the much anticipated X Portal app, and I think all of you guys can look forward to that. We've got some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Alec mentioned at the beginning, checking out the previous episodes that we have several interviews with some really incredible Web 2 and Web 3 execs. So check out our previous episodes if you're interested in learning more about those. As always, hitting the like and subscribe button really helps us out with our channel, but it also, of course, gives that algorithm positive indication to send this video out to more people.
Yes, it's definitely been an incredible journey, and we look forward to continuing to grow with you all. And as I'm sure you all know, as we continue to grow, so does the Multiverse X ecosystem. So any part you can play in that, such as Steven said, like, share, subscribe, it just benefits the entire ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, man. Yeah, as you were saying, since the last episode, it's been close to a month or so since we were last together, and there have been, whether it be cryptocurrency related or just real life related. I mean, man, this past month, I know last time we were together, we were talking about how, where really are we in the market? Are we in a recession? Yeah. Where are we heading towards? And then, of course, as we discussed, Multiverse X has been going through this rebrand, and we had a town hall meeting just earlier this past week with Benjamin, where he gave us some more updates with regard to some metaverses that we know is called X Worlds, and some other products as well. Yeah, since the last episode, man, I wouldn't say that we've really had a much more large scale clarity on where the market is heading, how things feel. So yeah, I mean, we can kind of step into a little bit of that if you'd like, but I know that that's going to include several different conversations that we're bringing up later on as well.
Yeah, man. Since the last episode, there have been a lot of major things that have happened in the market, but definitely no clarification as to what direction we're heading. And I think as we start to get into market at a glance, I'm sure a lot of you have some of the banks on your mind and some of the bank failures that have been happening. And we'll go a little bit into that and the idea of contagion and what the federal banking system here in America and just is trying to do to stop this these bank failures and what could possibly be some outcomes that come from this as well.
Yeah, for certain. I'm looking forward to that. I think there are a lot of interesting conversations that can come out of that. So, of course, we'll try to keep it short and succinct and just stimulate people to think. Coming up on today's episode, we're going to be talking jointly about X-Portal, some of our favorite aspects of X-Portal, which used to be called Myar phone application, but the rebrand, of course, the rebrand is the big overarching topic, and it will continue to be for a little bit longer here. So that's the first main topic that Alec and I are going to be discussing with you all today. And then Alec, what is your main topic that you'll be kind of bringing up as in addition?
So this is something that people have been talking about for like a long time, and I can excitedly say that I fucking know we're beginning finally. This is the Multiverse X Global Outreach Tour. So I'm going to be going into a little bit of the marketing that the Multiverse X ecosystem is going to start. The marketing journey that they're going to start going down. So this is, if you go back on Twitter even months ago, you'll see in the comments, when marketing, and people keep asking like, the Multiverse X name needs to be out there, and it looks like the team is finally going to start stepping in that direction of pushing the name. And as you can tell by the name, the Global Outreach Tour, they're going to be going around the world and toting the Multiverse X name and the technologies that we have and what it can do to better people's lives across the entire globe.
Yeah. That's awesome. And similarly, I'll be following up after you share about that. As many people may know, the new Multiverse X bridge is live, previously called the Ad Astra portal. So this was one of the other products that is being updated along with the rebrand. So I'm really just excited to open up a more broad conversation about what is the purpose of bridges? What is the future of blockchain and crypto? What is multi-chain? How is Multiverse X going to fit into the advancement of this technology? And as more communities kind of come about and realize how this can be used. So I think that those two secondary topics in addition to X-Portal that Alec and I will be discussing kind of paint this broader picture of really just what we can kind of expect from a marketing perspective and outreach for 2023, not really just with Multiverse X, but really just crypto at a large scale, which will of course kind of play into our conversation of the markets at a glance, what's been going on. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the conversations there. But pushing right along, let's go ahead and wrap up this kind of intro portion and get into our portfolio updates, whether that be crypto, traditional, all sorts of stuff. So Alec, if you want to kick us off with that, that'd be great to hear.
Yeah, man. So I think last time I was talking about trying to find a high yield savings account just because I want to stick to something, relatively safe with my money. I think I have found something. For some reason, I think there's been API issues when connecting for direct deposits. So I haven't quite made any moves from moving my money to my savings account to one of these high yield savings accounts yet. But that's something that I still have on the horizon because I'm pretty sure me and my wife are well on our way to be able to purchase the second home that I've been talking about. So that is still in motion. As far as cryptocurrency goes and X exchange goes, I continue to keep everything right where it is. I continue to be very happy with my staking rewards that I receive on what used to be the Myar app, now the X Portal app. So I just got to say, I love claiming my staking rewards. I love getting on the app to do those things. I'll talk about that a little bit later because I don't want to go into that right now because it's exciting stuff. But yeah, so I just continue to stick with those same methods. Never selling anything, reinvesting everything that I make within the Myar Dex. I see it all as something that will be extremely valuable in the future. So the more that I can hold on to at these low prices, or the more that I can gain from these low prices, the better. And so I continue to claim my meta bonding rewards and put everything back into the pool, back into the system, and nothing is leaving on this side. Everything is staying right within the Multiverse X ecosystem. And yeah, man, really nothing new there. How about you, Steven?
Well, before I jump to mine, I was going to ask, because I know that whenever we had the whole migration to X Exchange from Myar Dex, there was also a tokenomics upgrade for the Dex token, which is Myar Exchange token.
Yep.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you did end up migrating 100% of your locked mechs. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Everything has been migrated. So everything, I'm currently all locked up until March, May 2024,
Yeah.
something like that, I believe. So everything is locked up. I'm not fully tilted as I believe you are into which is the 4-year lockup. So I thought I'd be switching out XMEX at an earlier time. Like I think it would be right now where I'd probably have all my XMEX unlocked if nothing changed. So I decided to go ahead and put trust into the team, put trust into their vision, and I locked my stuff up. I mean, I don't need it right now. You know what I mean? And I don't consider the current exchange rate to be favorable. So I'm not going to be a fool and sell into weakness. I'm just going to hang on to it. And as I've said before, free money, man. I'm just going to let it sit there and gain more value. I mean, yeah, things can go lower, but upwards potential is also unlimited. So I'm just going to sit there and wait on that stuff, dude, and continue to use whatever benefits come with the MEX 2.0.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So I agree, and I'm just from a kind of investment standpoint, like I'm glad that you did migrate all of your locked mechs, because I definitely imagine that come this year and a half that it's projected to unlock. I mean, at that point, I really expect for the exchange rate to improve. Yeah. If it doesn't, I mean, the worst case is that we've collected rewards all along the way.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, the idea of the rewards, I think that the main value proposition of XMEX, I think it is governance, but I mean, a lot of people are really interested in, what is this going to do for me kind of monetarily? So I think that is the big key about this energy paradigm within Multiverse X DeFi on X Exchange, is that the majority of the revenue generation, aside from meta bonding, which meta bonding is now 9 different ESDTs, ESDTs being standard digital tokens, and each of these projects gives a weekly disbursement, and it's like a diversified portfolio. It's like an automatic diversified portfolio within the Multiverse X ecosystem, and that will always kind of continue to provide this baseline liquid APR, but on top of that we have X Exchange fees that will be entirely dependent on how much volume is going through X Exchange. So I think that's one of those variables that I think I'm betting on the most, is that Multiverse X clearly has their sights viewed on Web3 payments, on Metaverse, and of course just the fundamental values of blockchain and building this efficient layer 1. So I really think that they're going to expand just the Multiverse X brand, and I think naturally more kind of rivers will run through X Exchange in different ways that will both burn MEX tokens and then reward MEX holders. So I'll be interested as time goes on, Alec, as you approach your unlocks, if you continue to just let the energy drain and then unlock it when the time comes, Or perhaps, I mean, in the best case scenario, the team adds lots of value in different ways and basically convinces people like you to just freaking full energy, like full, like max it out, either, you know, maybe boost it a little bit more, or maybe in a best case scenario, you just go full 4 years, which I have done. It's like, I think that to keep the leg up with trading, sometimes you want to keep your liquidity kind of hidden to where you can't make like impulsive decisions. So that's how I view it, and that's a pretty subjective value proposition that I attribute to energy, is that it's a extremely long-term hold. I have it locked for 4 years, and so far every month that's come by, I've re-upped my charge to another 4 years. So that money to me is purely locked in, and in the time being, I'm going to continue to reap the meta bonding rewards. The team will add more projects to that list, and then each of those projects, if one of them starts to perform well, that's going to have a really positive impact on the APR of XMAX Energy. So I kind of bled my questioning of your portfolio into what I'm doing myself. Before I move on and just finish up with my portfolio update, I was curious if you've had any adjustments made to your investment portfolio in light of what's happened over the past couple of weeks with these banks.
No, I have not. I've actually been like kind of chill about the whole bank situation.
Yeah.
I have all my money in a credit union, and they're extremely local. So I like to think maybe they have my best interests at heart. And as far as, let's hope so. As far as my 401k goes, no, I have not changed anything around. I actually moved things a couple months back to focus more on consumer cyclicals and technology, or less on technology and prospective stocks, and more on the things that like utilities and stuff like that. So right now, I think I'm doing okay. I'm not really in the green. I'm not in the red. I'm just kind of sitting there. Yeah. So I think that's a great place to be in terms of the current market conditions and the current market volatility and the uncertainty in the market. So no, ma'am, nothing much has changed.
Nice. Well, just so we can push on, I'll just very quickly recap what I'm doing with my portfolio, and then we'll move on to the market at a glance. As I already mentioned, the value proposition that I attribute to XMAX Energy, you could you could guess that I have some XMAX Energy, and another value proposition of that, and the way that it was designed by the team, was not only is XMX used to incentivize liquidity on the DEX, but in the form of rewards, but depending on your energy, you actually can boost your rewards for both farming as well as meta staking, which farming just is liquidity farming, staking earning you more XMX, but meta staking is 3 different streams of income. One is fees from having LP token. One of the 3 is the XMX rewards, and then lastly, meta staking gives you staking rewards based on the amount of that token that you have paired with eGold. So for me, I have liquidity for both Utrust and some others, but I have my energy boosting that position. And I made a tweet about it, but I'll just say pretty quickly here that one of the complications of selling XMAX as a product for people to invest in is that APR is a figure that a lot of people look at when it comes to where to invest your money. And when it comes to calculating the APR on XMAX Energy, there are countless variables that not only fluctuate day to day, but longer term, it's a little bit challenging to really calculate the value return of MEX. So that's a reality of the MEX token, and it continues to be this topic that we try to kind of like figure out and just see what the team is really going to do with it. Altogether, I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I have my energy boosting my liquidity position on MyRDEX, or sorry, X Exchange. And then on top of that, I recently did do liquidity farming for ZoidPay. They had their first opportunity to earn their DGen token, is what they call it, WAND, WAND. And I will say that the rewards generated on there, my plan was that I was going to remove my liquidity to ZoidPay, stop farming WAND once the amount of liquidity that I put in equated the amount of WAND that I had earned. And so that happened within about a month or so. So I still have a little bit of liquidity that's earning me some WAND token. But I just threw some money into there because I'm not really sure really what that platform is going to bring quite yet. But another best case scenario is that I regret ever stop farming WAND token. So there's more that we might talk about that. ZoidPay on X Exchange recently had a 1,000% volume increase, which started a lot of drama on Twitter. I just talked about it, and I noticed it, and I talked that it had bullish implications. And then I got a lot of replies from the ZoidPay community saying that it was for different reasons, which I won't bring about because those were just speculation points that later on different ZoidPay like max season members like gave me a hard time for saying that was the case, even though all I did was really just open up conversation and speculate along with everybody else while we waited for some understanding from the team. So that might be all that I say about ZoidPay, just because I don't want to drag that topic out more than it needs to. And then on top of that, I want to drag out the portfolio allocation more than it needs to. Drop comments below, reach out on Twitter if you have more questions about either of our portfolios, and I'll leave it at that. So yeah, we've talked a little bit about what's been going on in the market. And Alec, it sounds like you might have a few things to present to us with regard to the more macro and major and traditional markets. So if you're ready to kick that off, go ahead.
All right. So, as I hope you know, don't keep your head under the sand. We've seen a couple of banks starting to fail, and a pretty important caveat to a lot of this is a lot of these banks had connections to the crypto technology sector. So there in Silicon Valley, there was only a few banks that were willing to do business with these more speculative companies, and Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank were two of those banks that were doing business with a lot of these these technology companies. And so a lot of these tech companies had their money housed at these two banks, and what the bank was doing was that they were taking the money that was deposited in these accounts and using that money to invest in other speculative assets. And when when people come to go remove their money from the bank, I don't know why I'm explaining the bank run, but here I go. But as people went to go remove their money from the bank didn't really have the money to give them because their money was tied up in these speculative assets that haven't really given them any money back. Instead of they have given the banks losses. So now the banks are operating at a loss and they don't have money to give their customers, which created a freak out, which led to the banks closing, which led to the Feds stepping in, which led to the Feds insuring more than the usual $250,000 per FDIC or per FDIC insured account. The Feds actually stepped in and said they're going to insure every account up to the full amount. So we had that happen, which kind of scared the whole entire market in general. There's been another bank collapse, Credit Suisse, and we've had a Swiss bank step in to save them. So there's a lot of scare and fright right now on the horizon. People are afraid of what might be a bank run. We have Fed and the president stepping in saying, banks are safe. Banks are good to go. Your money is safe. You're good to go. Last week, I believe it was, we had a meeting with Fed Chair Jerome Powell, and they actually did one more. They did one more rate hike at this last meeting, a 0.25% rate hike. So the Fed is continuing on their rate hikes, even though we continue to see this murkiness in the waters in the markets. So the banks and stuff are calling for the Feds not to do these rate hikes because it's bad for the markets, while we're having one other thing happening in the markets, which is also bad for the markets. So you don't want too many bad things happening at once, because it could lead to total collapse. And so people are expecting that the Fed is going to start taking a less aggressive stance when it comes towards the rate hikes. So people are speculating that the markets are starting to look past an economic downturn and toward a recovery ahead. So I don't know, there's still a mixed sentiment in the market with these bank collapsing. And if you look on Twitter, there's a lot of people calling for more banks to collapse, because, I mean, who can trust the government nowadays and anything that they say? Your money is safe. Well, people get scared. And if you look back in the 1920s, when the 1929, when the bank run happened back then, it was slower. But now we have these things. We have social media to let us know, hey, is your money safe? And then everyone freaks out at once, and then you have billions of dollars trying to be extracted from banks in terms of minutes. So yeah, man, that's what I got for you. Things are a little murky. Sorry for my camera. My dogs are being ridiculous. Things are a little murky ahead, but hopefully we will start to see some clarity within the coming months with all this being worked out.
Yeah, man, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster here over the past 2 weeks. As many of you probably know, that along with those banks failing, as Alec just explained, some of that contagion was the fact that Circle, the person responsible for USDC, revealed that they have $3.3 billion stuck within Silicon Valley Bank. So for a little bit there, USDC depegged, which everybody over the years has always been giving USDT Tether a lot of difficulty for some of its foundations. But of course, turns out USDT was the more promising stablecoin all along. But yeah, so in short, I came to learn that the Silicon Valley contagion kind of came from a liquidity issue that turned into an insolvency issue, where people were starting to take out funds, and they basically had treasury bonds that were priced at 5 years at 1%. But whenever the Fed hikes interest rates as much as they have, then the bonds that are on the open market right now are at 5%. But Silicon Valley Bank, their bonds were only at 1%. So those bonds literally lose value. So whenever people started requesting money, they started to have to liquidate at a loss some of these treasury bonds that were, if they met their maturity, they would have got their 1% and they wouldn't have lost money, but they were forced to liquidate some of those. They tried to raise money, and basically one thing led to another, and everybody was like, Silicon Valley Bank is insolvent. Let's get the heck out of here. And I mean, I live in California, and there were just casual headlines of people lining up at banks, like a bank run. And I really don't know what's going on, man. All I know is that banks are closing around me. Like a Bank of America just up the street closed, and it's just I don't know what that's about, truthfully, altogether.
I will say that is frightening, because in my experience, at least, a lot of trends start in California and then trickle their way east. I really hope that isn't the case with this. I'd hate to see a true financial collapse. I don't think any of us are ready for anything like that. It would be truly scary. But I mean, as I'm sure you'll explain later, in crypto markets, there have been some interesting things happening there due to probably this financial collapse that we're experiencing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm okay with just kind of including this all in the same topic, because basically what I was about to say was this question of bank runs and people pulling out their cash and so forth. This is some behavior that I did foresee whenever I started investing in crypto, was this idea of if, this big if question, if we do ever see bank runs or insecurity with regard to the US dollar value or our own deposits within our banks, if that ever happened, it's like, I don't want to be stuck in the crowd, stuck in the bottleneck, trying to get my money out of banks that are insolvent. So I think that's one area that I'm definitely paying attention to, among others. So one, some people don't realize that we're not on a gold standard anymore. That ended almost 100 years ago. People don't realize that. And secondly, and this is a really big important one, that in 2020 the Fed approved for banks to, instead of having a small reserve, a partial reserve requirement for every bank's deposit per branch, per location, in 2020, to stimulate the economy, the Fed or maybe some other governing agency actually took that away. So I'll drop a link in the description for sure, because everybody needs to know right now that the legal requirements for your bank to have your deposit on hand is 0%. Banks are not required to hold 1 penny of your money in their banks because they're out lending it and trying to generate returns, right? Because in 2020, they canceled that, said, we want you to use all your reserves to stimulate the economy. And dude, it's really concerning. I hope nothing falls apart, as you said. But dude, I could see this being a serious issue of contagion. I think that everybody's not even walking on eggshells. I think we're all walking on eggshells, and we're not even taking any steps, because I believe that we have a lot more contagion that will start to unfold. And I've been, keeping my head in the markets, and some financial analysts and so forth. I mean, they speculate that, we're going to have an issue that is going to come out of left field that people won't really see. And that just, goes into the shitstorm cyclone of markets and everything. But all I know is that, I'm really not worried. For years, I've been way too fully tilted into crypto altogether. And I'm happy with that, because I know, and everybody should know at this point, that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency altogether is actually a solution to some of those issues that we're seeing with regard to just storing value, self custodying your assets, not giving them to a bank to go and lend and mismanage and then let oh, sorry, we don't have your money. Bitcoin is, as long as it's off of a centralized exchange, and of course e-gold, self-custody your assets, self-custody sound assets. So definitely looking forward, not necessarily a positive light, but looking forward to seeing how this situation continues to unfold. How specifically, is this going to impact the government's regulating crypto? Because if there is further contagion and the government sees the safe haven of cryptocurrency, of Bitcoin, as being a place for people to flock to, they're going to put up roadblocks to keep people from fueling this fear and contagion. So I'll be very interested to see how everything shakes out. It just goes to show just how unpredictable things can be. And self-custody sound assets is what I'll say.
Yeah, man. I just hope everything shakes out all right. I really hope the government is able to have a keen insight into this issue and are able to take steps that actually do solve it, because I'd hate to see it. Everyone would hate to see it. It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be great for anyone. It might be good for crypto, but in terms of the global economy, it ain't great, homie. So I really hope for the best, and I really hope for smooth solutions.
Yeah, it would certainly reshape the world as we know it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man, depending on what you believe, it's inevitable. Traditional systems are broken, period. Like it's plain and simple. It's evident. So I think it all really just comes down to how of course it will shift, how quickly it will shift, if it will be thanks to government and bringing in these CBDCs, which I'm against because of the security and privacy that I think that it breaches. But yeah, I believe that it's inevitable that crypto will be adopted. It's just a matter of when, how quickly, and in what form. If it's going to be this kind of societal movement, or if it's going to be this government putting their hand, over us to just keep everybody from losing our minds or anything like that. But we'll see. I mean, tomorrow's not promised. Things are unpredictable. But altogether, of course, I hope the economy survives. I hope that my parents and our parents' portfolios don't get diminished. Like, there are a lot of negative dominoes that could fall, but hopefully the world will redeem itself and we'll be able to look back at this era of time and feel good about it.
Yes, sir. As always, though, the world will continue to move on no matter what happens. So everything will always be okay in the end.
And speaking of moving on, let's see. I mean, we did cover some broad topics there. Feel free to wrap around and mention any other larger market items that we missed. Other than that, I'll go ahead and push us on to Multiverse X specific.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Cool. Hopefully everybody listened to the town hall with Benjamin this past week, which was a lot of fun to finally see Benjamin, talk about what's been going on. And spoiler alert, if you have not seen that, we did get some postponements of 2 different products, both X Fabric as well as X Worlds. So that was a little bit of bittersweet news that went along with that town hall. But as Alec will get into later, they announced this basically marketing world tour. So definitely some good things going on. And then, we mentioned the X Portal is out. So altogether, I mean, Multiverse X ecosystem really seems as though it's on a tipping point to where new developers are stepping in to build new tools, and Benjamin and the team definitely seem confident that that's what's going on too. But yeah, the town hall was a lot of fun. I always love to see those town halls. And Alec, you listened to that as well. What were your big takeaways?
Yeah, man. I think it was just great to see Benjamin on there in general. As you mentioned, it has been a long time since the town hall. But I think some of my key takeaways were a lot of the, as I'll get into later, a lot of the comm steps that they're taking. A lot of, you can tell that they're starting to focus very heavily on this marketing side of Multiverse X. And he continued to mention the foundations that they built, and it's time to start the other pieces. So that's what really stuck out to me. And he didn't only mention one leg of marketing. There were a couple of marketing things mentioned in there that are going to play to the whole campaign in general. So and it's also nice to hear, as you mentioned, the changes in the timeline. It's nice to hear him talk about why those changes exist and why they're happening. It's just to make sure that the best product is being created, and they don't want to release anything hastily or half-assed. So it's nice to see that he recognizes that those projects aren't going to be on the timeline. And I know in the past, with Mex 2.0, we kept being told a timeline, and sometimes it wasn't brought up about missing those timelines. So it's really great to hear those things addressed, and I think it really settles a lot of people's anxieties or fears that they might have with those products.
Yeah. And I guess it's important to note as well that when Benjamin announced this whole rebrand, he really wrote these dates of the roadmap within a tweet. It wasn't anything huge, formal, or by no means was it a promise. In fact, before he shared any of the projected dates for these releases, he really shared with us that the idea of roadmaps is just to give a framework. Yep. And it's really, even though us kind of investors or consumers, we love these roadmaps to give us an idea of what to look forward to. I mean, truthfully, it's for the team. It's for the team to consider what they have on their plate, to really, as Benjamin talks about, just think about and conceptualize how everything is coming together and flowing. So even though, of course, we love to see these roadmaps and look forward to the releases, Benjamin stated this framework. I know that there are some positives and negatives about postponing products and so forth. And I don't want to always just, go along and approve of everything that the team does. But I'm perfectly fine with some of these products coming out later in the year, which, to be specific, X Money is still purported to be April 12th, X Launchpad May 16th, and then X Fabric is Q3, and then X Worlds will be either in Q3 or Q4. So altogether, I think that right now, as we just discussed, man, it's like all markets, like pretty much everybody is uncertain. And somebody tweeted, Crypto Vasquez, shout out. He said, "Nobody cares if you hit a home run if the ballpark is empty." So I think that's kind of the idea. As much as I was looking forward to X Worlds, and think it's going to be really awesome. I mean, I'm okay with the team putting another 6 months or so until the release, improving it all the more, and then releasing it whenever we're all in the ballpark and watching the team at bat.
Yeah, man, the environment has to be right in order for these things to connect the way the team wants them to connect. I mean, they want true global adoption, and it can only be done when the environment is right, when everything is in place, when all the pieces are ready to finally connect. So I applaud them waiting. I applaud them having the balls to say, hey, we're going to wait on this. I know it's a huge project. I know we set these timelines, but I mean, smell the air, man. It isn't right yet.
Yeah, the bananas aren't ripe.
Yeah.
I don't know why I chose bananas.
Yes.
The fruit is not ripe. The seed is not ready for harvest. Insert your desired metaphor. But I think altogether, a big takeaway from that town hall, I liked that Benjamin took another chance to reintroduce multiverse to the power of X, but specifically the protocol, and he shares it as a digital supercomputer. Mm-hmm. And I think that is up to this point is one of the most simplified mental understandings of what is blockchain, what is Eagle Multiverse X. It's a digital supercomputer, and we'll drop the link, of course, to that town hall below. But Alec, you mentioned some of those different marketing focuses, and I don't know if you're referring to the verticals he discussed, but I think everybody was really, really excited. Just to recap it here: X Portal, X Launchpad, X Money, X Fabric, a new education platform, and then of course X Worlds, which has been delayed till the end of the year, Q3 or Q4. And then on top of that, which you'll talk into, so I won't really discuss, but several different cities, Multiverse X will be present and discussing their product. And then altogether, again, just final takeaway here from the town hall was that Benjamin said that the team is shifting this kind of team and development focus into let's share with the world what we're building. Yeah. And I think that is just like so refreshing. The team has always tweeted about, oh, we're really excited, but it's like, now I really see them out there with smiles on their faces, having conversation and dialogue. It's like, I'm in a weird sort of way, like I'm really pleased on behalf of the team that now they can go out and they can share with the world what they have built. It's like they built something incredible and like they've been working so diligently. It's like, hell yeah, like now you guys finally get to go out there and share everything that's being done. And people that they share with, they will sense the energy. I think that Multiverse X and what the team, kind of their ethos they have behind them, I think it's very contagious, and I'm excited to see, of course, what sort of implications this leads to.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I don't know if we're ready yet, but we were mentioning timelines, and there is one timeline that they did stick to, which I think a lot of people are probably really, really happy about, that they did stick to that timeline. And I think you all can guess. X Portal, baby. Mm-hmm. Fucking X Portal, dude.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
I know we were talking about how the team kind of misses some timelines, but I think this was one of those timelines that they really prioritized. This is one of those things that they were like, okay, This is important for the whole ecosystem. I can say from my experience, I love it. At least from the UX UI side, it's everything that I could have imagined. I have some improvements that I'd like to see on there that I'll mention later when we wrap up the Xportal topic. But as far as Xportal goes, man, what do you love about it? What has stood out to you, Steven?
Yeah. Xportal, as you said, ever since X Day last November, the team has been excitedly sharing with us what to anticipate, what to expect. And yeah, altogether, man, like I think it's just a stellar product. They built off of the original Maiar application and expanded it to include this idea of a portal to the multiverse, which is this idea of, not just the metaverse, not this, big hot topic item, even though that is relevant, but also the real world. And I guess I want to give a quick shout out to Benjamin Mink, who gave a recent interview with Scott Melker, who is the Wolf of All Streets on Twitter. And honestly, it was a really, really refreshing view and conversation that they had, where they didn't focus on the metaverse and let's join the metaverse and what's going on in the metaverse. Multiverse X, as Benjamin shares, it's a conjoining of two worlds as represented by Xportal. So, I mean, beyond those classic items that we all know and love from Xportal, like the seamless signing of transactions, I know for a fact that the hub on Xportal is something that people are extremely excited about. So the hub is basically just almost like this app store. Store implies that it costs money, but as we are right now, everything is for free. But I mean, we have X Exchange on there, we have X Spotlight, we have NFT marketplaces, we have Ash Swap, Arda, CoinDrip, Jex Exchange. I mean, all the Proteo, several different finance and NFT related applications. Some different startups. I mean, they're going to have to redesign the hub page because right now there's no search bar, and there's also a very long list of applications. And I think that of course, it's great to have them on Xportal, but what I like the most about it is that it's utterly seamless. You open any of these apps within Hub and it already connects your wallet.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm going to open up X Exchange and then I have to scan another QR code and then sign my verification. You sign in, open up Xportal, you insert your either PIN or your biometrics, and you're in. Like, it's super duper seamless. So I'll throw it over to you in just a moment. But before that, the team said whenever they dropped it, the Xportal app, that the first 2 weeks were going to be a beta version. So if you've been paying attention, of course, there have been lots of updates to Xportal on the app stores. And especially in those first 72 hours, there were a lot of updates that were pushed out as people reported their feedback. So we're clearly well beyond that 2-week timeline. Haven't really heard anything official from the team in terms of we're no longer in beta, etc. So kind of looking for something from the team to kind of stamp the seal on Xportal. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the feedback. These are some things that we're paying attention to where we want to update. But yeah, that's kind of a closing conversation. So I'll take a few steps back and throw it back to you, Alec. You asked me some things I'm looking forward to. I mentioned the hub. You can either add on more to that or share some other topics, or not topics, but elements of Xportal that you've liked so far as well.
So one of the things that first stood out to me was their leveraging of AI on Xportal. It has nothing to do with functions or anything that come into the app, at least that I know of. I don't know of any bot functions that are happening behind the scene. But when it comes to AI, I love that they implemented the AI profile creation thing. So I thought that was pretty dope that they were able to throw that in there. I think it just adds to the entertainment value of the app. And speaking of entertainment value, when you go to the play section, we now have experience points that are on the Xportal app. At least I haven't seen anything about these experience points and what that can deliver you or what that might give you if you have a whole shitload of them, or if you continue to do multi-day streaks of claiming your experience points. Yeah. But I assume there's going to be some sort of further gamification that comes along with that. So those are some things that have really stuck out to me. Also, there's already some type of like adventure gamification on there. That really just has to do with inviting people to the app, either purchasing e-gold, staking your e-gold, things like that just kind of give you some more experience points as well. I think as I mentioned, they have done a great job on the UX and UI. I love the color schemes they have chosen. Everything, it does feel pretty seamless in the app. I do like their new tracking function. I think that's pretty dope. You're able to have your whole portfolio from anywhere on there and be able to track it directly within the app. So they truly are trying their best to make this an all-inclusive app that you don't need to leave to do very much.
So that there's a conversation, perhaps not a conversation, but an idea of designing the app and what does the Multiverse X team want its users to focus on? So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but there have been quite a few threads online of people talking about ways to improve X Portal, and altogether, I think that the chat functionality is really a great idea. It's in chat, or it's in beta right now. I haven't really tested it too vigorously, but the tests that I have put through have not worked. So definitely just looking forward to all of these beta things, like even the AI avatar that you mentioned. As silly as it sounded, like that first day when X Portal launched, I was really excited about the that AI avatar. It was so fun, like it was so engaging, and then sharing it online and seeing everybody else's avatars. Like I just thought that was a really unique thing, and created a lot of buzz around X Portal all the more.
Yeah, man. I mean, who doesn't like being represented in some kind of like epic way? Because truly the way the AI creates your profile photos, usually in some kind of like, you're on some like Odyssey or some epic journey, or I don't know, everyone just looks cool as shit. And you mentioned the chat function. I just sent you a message. Did you happen to receive it on the X Portal app at all?
Not yet. I'll let you know if it comes through. But yeah, I mean, altogether, just the fact that they delivered this product on time, and there was so much excitement surrounding it. Of course, as we know, the cards themselves, it's still something in development. Yeah. We have not heard any more information as to when we can expect cards, and that's for Europe. For the United States, I mean, we have absolutely no real end in sight when we might be able to get some of those cards, which it's a bummer. But I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? Like, these regulatory people they don't make it too easy for some of this to be adopted.
Yeah, they really don't. I know Benjamin mentioned regulatory aspects in the town hall and how they continue to keep an eye on the U.S. And he mentioned how he's not very excited for what looks like the direction the U.S. is heading in. So hopefully we will see some improvement there when it comes to crypto regulation. It's just nice to hear that the team is keeping their eye on that and keeping a finger on the pulse to make sure that they are able to appeal to what is a huge market share of the United States.
Totally. Yeah, and that's definitely worth noting that Benjamin did do some question answering at the end of the town hall, and somebody was questioning about the U.S. recent actions in crypto. So Benjamin did address that, as you said. He assured the team that they're observing and actively discussing with regulators the future of the industry. So it's unclear, of course, what the future is, but it's clear that Benjamin and the team are keeping their fingers on the pulse and will, do their absolute best. To the best of their ability, they will roll with any sort of punches as regulations come through. But the idea of regulation is the hottest topic. It's an ember that won't die within the world of crypto. It's been here since I started getting into crypto, 5 years ago, and we still have no clarity over it. So I'm a bit skeptical whenever people say, "Oh, I'm like risking out of crypto because I'm waiting for regulation." It's like, I don't want to miss the bus because I'm waiting for a regulation that's been talked about coming for all this time. But, that's kind of a different topic, but just wanted to tag that on in addition to what you were saying there, Alec.
I appreciate that, Steven. And it sounds like we're about ready to head into the next major topic, which is the Multiverse X Global Outreach Tour. So this is something that was mentioned a week or two ago. It was dropped on Twitter that the Multiverse X team is finally beginning their communications, their marketing journey. So everyone has been asking, when marketing, when this? Well, we finally have an answer. It's beginning now. The first one just wrapped up. Today's the 25th, I believe. No, it's 26th. First one wrapped up 3 days ago in Paris, actually, at the NFT Factory is what I believe their location was called. So the team has started their tour. They're going around the globe just to tote the technology that they have been building. And so Benjamin said that the foundations have finally been established. So in order for true building to occur, you need strong, established foundations for anything to be built on top of. We're at that stage now. The foundations have been built, the products have been released, and now it's time to start getting global adoption. So the team is going to be hitting the road and going to several locations across the globe. You can expect several locations in Europe, such as Barcelona. I believe they're going to be going to Italy. They're also going to be coming to the United States, Austin, Texas, baby, the weirdest city in the United States, as people like to say. They're also going to be going to China as well, and the city of Hong Kong. So they're going to be heading around the entire world, and this is the first official Multiverse X tour.
Yeah, dude.
So global adoption push is 100% ahead of us, man. People have been calling for it, and I'm excited to finally see it here. On top of them starting their global tour, they're actually adding like a little couple of new legs onto this marketing, at least I consider them legs, onto this marketing push. So they're going to be creating a learning management platform, which I think learning is a big part of adoption. How are people going to become a part of the network if they don't even know what the network is about? So apparently they're going to start trying to create some type of learning management platform that not only talks about Multiverse X, but also talks about the development side and can be used for anyone who wants to start building on top of the platform. So I think that's one important piece when it comes to the marketing campaign. Another important piece of that, as you mentioned earlier, Steven, is giving constant updates on these different verticals in the Multiverse X ecosystem. So they're going to start trying to do more regular updates when it comes to dev stuff, when it comes to Multiverse X in general, when it comes to any other things that have to do with building on the Multiverse X ecosystem. So I want to get into a little bit about that learning management platform. I currently at my corporate job, I'm actually helping build one of those kind of platforms, and I can just say from a standpoint of someone who's tried to build a learning management platform, it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's definitely an undertaking. As someone who's built a learning management platform before, I know it's like definitely a difficult thing to do, but I mean, shit, these people built the X Portal app, so doing difficult things is nothing new to them. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to come up with there. And as usual, I'm looking forward to the UX and UI when it comes to that learning platform, because when it comes to online learning, you need it to be extremely interactive, because Jesus Christ, you want to shoot your brains out if it's not, because sitting in front of a computer and learning stuff it just needs to be entertaining, and I really think they'll be able to deliver on that. Speaking to marketing as a whole, I know it's kind of like a shooting in the dark process, or I know marketing is kind of difficult because everything that you're doing is very abstract. It's all very, I think this is what the people like, and hopefully if we do this, it'll do this. We'll have this outcome. So I know there's going to be a lot of road bumps down down this journey that the team is going to be going on. But I have full confidence that they know exactly what they're doing. And I think they're going to be hitting a lot of key locations, a lot of key conferences in order to continue to show off all the hard work that they've put into what is now Multiverse X. So we're ready. They did the building, we have the foundation, and now it's time to grow. So the marketing is in full swing. I'm excited to see where we end up, and I'm excited to see what kind of global adoption we can get from this.
Totally, man. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest. And we didn't know for certain if or when marketing was ever going to come, even though, I mean, sharing for myself, I definitely expected it, and we talked about it in past episodes. So I'm definitely not surprised at all. But beyond that, like, I'm definitely very excited. I already mentioned it, how I'm excited for the team to now go out and be able to personally share what they've built and created with the world. So, yeah, there's a lot of takeaways from the idea of this global outreach tour. I'm going to see it. I haven't looked into what they're doing here in the United States, but I know that would be pretty freaking awesome to be able to attend and be in person to see Multiverse X. I mean, I don't know if I know that they had some representation at NFT Denver over the past month. But beyond that, I'm not really sure what presence they've had in the United States. So it's always great to see whenever Benjamin or anybody on the team, of course, makes it into the United States.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I know you and I have been definitely looking forward to any type of United States interaction because, I mean, there's deep pockets here in the U.S. There's a lot of mega whales out there that are looking for the next gem in the rough. And the only reason Steven and I are making this podcast is because we believe this is the next gem in the rough. So if they're finally able to gain a foothold in the U.S. market, man, some really fantastic things can happen.
Yeah. Altogether, it's really great to see. But at the same time, it's like, all right, like, they've done a lot of work, but this is kind of where the work really begins, answering questions, is this scalable? Is this truly appealing? Is it going to be the choice that people make above some of the other platforms that are available right now? I know that there are other cryptocurrencies out there and everybody's always vying for adoption of their own chain. But as far as I'm concerned, I've shared this many times before, Multiverse X is a platform that provides solutions that I have been using for years, and I'm going to continue to use it. I'm familiar with it. Obviously, we have community within the Multiverse X ecosystem. So I think it would be difficult to move completely away from Multiverse X, but that does segue a little bit into the closing topic. Yeah, if there are any other bullet points you wanted to hit on your topic there, talking about whether it be the global tour itself, or some of the other cities that were mentioned, anything else you wanted to tag?
Yeah, just one last thing about the global tour. I believe, at least in my opinion, the X Portal is the catalyst for this adoption that we're going to be hopefully seeing. I think they were waiting on this launch of the new super app because you need something shiny out there to attract the people. So I think the X Portal is definitely going to be that catalyst to hopefully drive a lot of that adoption. Just my final finishing thoughts on that global outreach tour.
Awesome, bro. Well, that was, of course, a very exciting segment on marketing, right? Who would have thought that we were ever going to have an opportunity? Maybe some people speculated we were never going to see marketing. So yeah, this global outreach tour, the Twitter for Multiverse X has definitely been pretty hype, talking about all those different events that already the team is attending. But yeah, kind of bridging that, no pun intended, to the next topic. It really has to do kind of with what was discussed at the town hall too. Which I mentioned these verticals earlier. So there's kind of like product verticals, but there's also kind of different ecosystem of verticals that the team said that they were going to be releasing specific roadmaps about. Those included protocol, product, startup, devs, and NFTs. So altogether, it definitely seems like Multiverse X is casting a net out into the world to really let people know that Multiverse X is here to be a part of the crew. And when I say that, I mean this idea that's been touted before, multi-chain, rather than everybody's going to use this one platform and we need to focus on it. In the world of all of the cryptocurrencies that exist, it is emerging. I think it's pretty much set in stone at this point that the future is going to be interoperable, is going to be multi-chain. So with that being said, it was, of course, very exciting to see the team drop the latest Multiverse X bridges, which is more or less just a way to connect different chains to Multiverse X on the face. But I'll get into that a little bit more. You just what the point of cryptocurrency bridges is. But yeah, like I said, the updated Ad Astra portal is now Multiverse X Bridges, and so they didn't just change the name; they adjusted the UI, and as I'll discuss, they also were able to include Binance Connect onto the Multiverse X Bridge, and then in the days after that, the Binance Connect on-ramp solution was also added to mainnet, the Multiverse X mainnet. So let me just briefly, just for those of you who maybe aren't aware, what is the point of a bridge? So just kind of recapping those top points, it's to connect different blockchain networks and facilitate exchanges of assets between them. That's what we can kind of, gather at face value. But some of the implications of this include giving customers access to a wider range of cryptocurrencies and DeFi applications specifically. And I think the key point is that that's without using centralized exchanges. So a lot of the time, the bridge between some of these assets involves just trading them on centralized exchanges and then, sending those particular assets to their respective chains. So we know that centralized exchanges carry some risks, but bridges allow people to circumvent that altogether. On top of that, whenever you do have successful bridges, the liquidity can be pooled in different ways. Providing liquidity across different blockchain networks is extremely important for DeFi initiatives and applications. And then, of course, depending on what the chain you're bridging over to, or rather which chain is facilitating the multi-chain transaction, of course, you're able to bypass high fees, slow transaction times associated with centralized exchanges. So whether it be FTX collapsing this past year or the banks kind of having their issues, over the past 2 weeks and perhaps continued contagion, I think that there will be continued to be a shift to the idea of decentralization, both with regard to decentralized finance, but of course, using these bridges to increase accessibility, interoperability, and flexibility within the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So, I mean, that's really just the point of bridges is this move towards multi-chain, this move towards increasing the liquidity that we all have access to. Because centralized exchanges function in a very different way, including market makers that must come in to facilitate and fill the order books for both buy and sell sides. As we know, with these automatic market makers, we all pool our funds, and there's a simple algorithm that does that. And then, as we've seen recently in the last episode, I talked all about AshSwap, which allows people now to do stable swaps. And more and more DeFi initiatives keep popping up that are just kind of often left field, quote unquote, because as we within Multiverse X have been watching patiently for a little bit now, waiting for Hatem protocol and liquid staking to go live on Multiverse X. So, I mean, all of these things are just, they're exciting for certain, but at the same time, it's like, all right, but we really need adoption. And right now, I'm even though price has grown with Bitcoin, that growth hasn't really led much to altcoin moves, much or at all. Yeah. So we're definitely still waiting to see the direction. We did see a little bit of like decoupling over the past couple weeks in the midst of these bank failures. But all of this is really awesome on paper, these bridges and cross chain and being interoperable. And hopefully, of course, this will. I'm sure we are expecting that the multi-chain, cross-chain is going to, connect with X worlds. I think that if Multiverse X is not trying to gear up to allow cross-chain interoperability with X worlds, that's going to be a missed opportunity. But we have a few months to go before that. But yeah, the bridge is going to be a really key element in the large scale adoption altogether. And just considering the idea of where Multiverse X is going to be included in this cross-chain world. Yeah, with that being said, I think some of those big key elements that will serve to go cross-chain a lot of the time is DeFi. So bridges are kind of not that I'm making a pun, but they're key. You need to cross the bridge to get to the other side, and if there's no bridge there, you need to find your way around. And that, bridging the metaphor, it's not really possible in the world of crypto. So bridges are also a little bit nerve-wracking because there have been exploits in the past, but so far so good. No exploits with this bridge, and we're happy to see that as always. But yeah, that's really just kind of like the broad topic that I wanted to bring up, the idea of Multiverse X bridges. They also, within coming weeks, will have a possibility for Solana to be bridged over. So it was great to see Multiverse X bridges have an updated UI, a lot of positive feedback from the community on its ease. Of course, the on-ramp through the Binance Connect is very exciting to see as well. And then, yeah, within hopefully by the end of April, we'll see what X Money brings. But Solana will be able to bridge over to Multiverse X as well. So pretty exciting stuff. Definitely fits into the broader scheme of this global world tour. Nobody's really going to care about your blockchain if it can't cross over either into other chains, or if other chains can't simply and decentralize in a decentralized fashion bridge over to Multiverse X. So it's one of those kind of slow grinds that is just a positive indication. Doesn't really have any immediate impact on the market, as we've seen. Those macro indicators are really controlling a lot of investor activities right now. But yeah, dude, that's all I've got for Multiverse X bridges and the idea of this cross-chain future.
All right, man. Thanks for sharing that with us, Steven. The team just continues to build, and it's just going to continue to play into this global world tour. The more products they have, the easier adoption will be, because the more use cases that the Multiverse X ecosystem will have in total. So it's just exciting to see this team is being as relentless as ever and continuing to chug forward. And we'll see where this global outreach tour takes us. We'll see where these new bridges take us as well. And the future is looking bright.
Yes, sir. Future is looking bright for Multiverse X, but that goes to say towards crypto as well. So kind of like on the horizon, man, it's like, well, like we're going to continue to put a pin in this idea of regulation, putting another pin in not regulation, but the contagion of these banks having their falling out. I think that those are going to be topics that everybody is kind of on their edge of their seats. And then, as we mentioned, we had some products that got shifted to Q3 and Q4, X Fabric and X Worlds. So yeah, by the time we are together again, it'll be past the release for X Money. So yeah, for the next episode, I'll be excited to report back on this global outreach tour, some things that we've noticed, some feelings from the team that we're getting, and better ideas of, like you mentioned with the X portal, like will we see some real proper benefits added to like that, the XP on X portal. On top of that, we also have DEX leagues on X Exchange that haven't been expanded upon and given true value to. So that's another pin that I want to note. But yeah, man, in terms of on the horizon, I know you mentioned in the last episode that you were eagerly awaiting X Portal, but with that now behind us, I'm curious, Alec, if there are any specific things that are kind of on your docket and you're excited to see.
It's more of a curiosity, X Worlds. I'm very curious to see what they're doing with Improbable, because Improbable is not only working with Multiverse X, they're also working with Yuga Labs. So if, I don't know, I like to speculate when it comes to interoperability, but if these bridges and everything and Improbable and X Worlds are really going to do what I think they're going to do, I think we're going to see these chains being able to interact in some type of virtual world, virtual environment, and it doesn't matter really what chain you're coming from. So I think that's something I'm really looking forward to. I know taking on something that vast is going to be a giant undertaking for anyone that does it. It doesn't matter who you are. That's a big project. So I'm excited to see what the team can do with that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Sometimes we got to be real. X Worlds was postponed twice. It was supposed to come out first on December 10th, this first look. And I think that's interesting. They always touted whether it be the initial date in December or the recent replacement of March and throwing it to Q3, Q4. I'm not sure whether they'll still call this a first look. So lots of developments on that. And then I already mentioned it a little bit, but I finally just want to drive home once more. The X Money platform is combining Utrust and TwistPay, which dating back to almost over a year ago, whenever Elrond, now Multiverse X, acquired those, those were big headlines. So I think that X Money, I don't like to pump up my own expectations, but I think that X Money is really going to come with a lot of noise. I think we're going to see some incredible articles, some really eye-catching headlines from different cryptocurrency news sources. Multiverse X releases X Money, conjoining these two companies and providing this product. It's I'm really hoping, please team, I'm really hoping that X Money is much more than just an opportunity to announce something. I think it should be used to really deliver something that changes some behaviors within the market. I'm not sure if that will have to do with being able to provide a card on X Portal or what. But yeah, X Money, I know a lot of people have been looking forward to that. And it's just around the corner at this point.
Hell yeah. Well, do we got anything else upcoming on the horizon, Steven?
Not that I know of, man. We still have X Launchpad, but I think at this point, since that's in May, we'll have a little bit more time before we talk about maybe X Launchpad, how it could change and so forth. But yeah, man, I think altogether, this is one of those episodes that we'll look back on as almost a redefining shift. I mean, not only for our podcast changing names to Multiverse Experience, but also this shift from the team focusing on developing to now sharing what they've got. And a lot of things to look forward to. But altogether, I'm always at the edge of my seat waiting for the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin to really let people know its direction, because right now everybody's assets are a little bit in this risk averse area where they're worried about what's going to happen. So looking forward to, fingers crossed, knock on wood, cryptocurrency really establishing itself as a safe haven. And I'm looking forward to decoupling. I think it's a matter of time. That's all I got to say. I could always ramble on and shoot the shit, but yeah, dude, it's been a great episode. Yet another one, episode 22 of Podcast Elrond, but now episode 1 of Multiverse Experience. So yes, Alec, it's been such a pleasure having this journey with you, and I can't thank you for all of not the benefit, but of the value that you provide for conversation, but also to all of our wonderful viewers out there.
Hell yeah, man. Well, it's been my pleasure as well. Thank you, Steven, for just being a part of this thing with me and allowing me to be a part of this thing with you. Well, I think that's it for what is now episode 1 of Multiverse Experience.
Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed this first episode. But yeah, man, looking forward to a lot of exciting things. But for now, Multiverse Experience, we are out of here. So everybody, we'll see you in the next one.
Hell yeah. Peace, everyone.
Peace out, everybody.